Good evening, everyone, and welcome to session 4 of our stress management series under our fitness and wellness initiative. We have an exciting night planned for you. We have Dwayne Wallace, who will be speaking on laugh at your mistakes today to minimize them tomorrow. Our presenter for this session is a broadcaster by profession with a stellar career spanning over 30 years. His love for education, fueled by thirst for learning, took him into college and university classroom at Sojourner Douglas College and the University of the West Indies, where he shared his true life's practical business experience in communications, marketing, public relations, media, and branding. Ironically, today he is not strayed far from his roots and continues to work in the communications industries, which is his first love. He enjoys meeting people, sharing in provocative conversations, and enjoying good humor. He is a writer, director, and producer of the Bohemian Theater, having written, produced, and directed for James Catlin and Friends, Scribes Unlimited, and Shakespeare in Paradise. He enjoys building and restoring vintage American muscle cars of the 60s, riding Harley Davidson motorbikes or motorcycles, scuba diving in reefs or near reefs, and wrecks of the Bahamas. Currently, he serves as president and CEO of Island Advisors Management and Communications Consultants. He is a father of 3 amazing young men, Dwayne Alberto, Daniel Andrew, and Davidson Alexander. His motto for life, sing like you're in the shower and ain't nobody listening. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming our presenter for this evening, Mr. Dwayne Wallace. Mr. Wallace, take it away.
Unmute. Thank you very much, Leo. Do we have audio? We're good?
Audio and visual, you're good.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you, Leo. Thank you, Preston. Thank you to all the rest of the team for this amazing opportunity and experience to share with the SBDC Access Accelerator this evening about the importance of laughter and what it does for us in business and our ability to be successful in business purely by employing the means of laughter. Now, I can minimize this screen so that we can go to our slideshow. Okay, so here we go. All righty. Laughter is like medicine, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who have joined the show, because it does something to us that even medication can't. BB Winans has a song called Laughter Does Good Just Like a Medicine, and you would have heard it on the little blurb we did over social media to make sure that everybody heard about this session this evening. Okay, slide isn't changing. Okay. All righty. And so laughter is very, very important to help us to feel good about whatever it is that we are dealing with. Laughter can do some things that medication that we get from over the counter can't. Laughter is like medicine. It calms the mind. Laughter takes away the heavy load. Laughter helps us to forget about whatever it is that's bothering us, if only for the moment. Note now that we cannot be angry and laugh at the same time. We can't cry and laugh at the same time. Laughter takes precedence over and cancels any emotion that we're experiencing. The end result, laughter makes us feel really, really good. So every opportunity you get, let's laugh. And especially as it relates to how we deal with our businesses, let's find some things to laugh about so that we can forget about the mistakes that we've made and how we'll do better in the future. I'm going to tell you a personal story of how I got fired from TCBY. It's a true story. We're in TCBY one Sunday afternoon, and a lady came from Lyford Key. She was looking for some vanilla yogurt. And so I came to the counter and I told the lady, sorry, but we don't have vanilla yogurt today, but we're happy to offer you any one of our other wonderful flavors, chocolate or vanilla or something else. She said, no, 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 no. I'd like to have that vanilla yogurt this afternoon. So we said, no, sorry, no vanilla. She still insisted. She asked if we could go to the food store and get some vanilla ice cream and make her some yogurt. We said, no, we couldn't. She said, could we go to maybe one of the other stores and get some vanilla? We said, no, we couldn't. And so she kept asking and asking. And so I ran hot. And I said to her, can you spell the chalk in chocolate? She said, yes, that's C-H-O-C. I said, can you spell the straw in strawberry? And she said, sure, that's S-T-R-A-W. I said, now, can you spell the frig in vanilla? She said, that's F-R-I. Wait, there is no friggin' vanilla. And I said, yes, that's just what I was trying to tell you for the last 5 minutes. Laugh about it. Well, I lost my job, but that was no joke. Now, laughter has some mental and psychological implications because laughter releases endorphins, which are linked to a positive mood. When we are high on endorphins, our overall outlook on life changes exponentially. Ever notice that most comedians live a very full life? Well, with the exception of Bernie Mac, who is my favorite comedian of all times. But whenever I'm having a bad day or a bad moment, I just go to YouTube and I look at his spiel on milk and cookies. Remember milk and cookies? Just think of milk and cookies and you'll have yourself a good belly laugh. What are endorphins, you may ask? Endorphins are known as the feel-good hormone. This type of hormone is a natural pain reliever which blocks the perception of pain and increases feelings of well-being. So endorphins are what we look forward to getting high on endorphins. Technical difficulties, please hang on. All right, here we go. Now, there is a particular science to laughter. And that's why it gives us that feel-good feeling. Now, laughter actually began with humanity as a survival tool. Laughter is thought to have evolved from a form of social bonding in animals and as a way of expressing playful intention. Many mammals even today laugh when they are tickled and when they engage in physical play. But humans don't need a physical trigger to laugh, though generally we cannot help ourselves but laugh when we are tickled. Janet Gibson, who is a professor emerita of cognitive psychology at Grinnell College in Iowa, said that laughter evolved in humans as a communication signal. Hundreds of years ago, laughter was the glue that kept a group together. She said this to CNN chief medical correspondent, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, in his Chasing Life podcast series. The idea that laughter was an external signal that can tell a group that everything is okay also said that we can relax. Isn't that something? Can't we apply that to business? There is no need to be anxious or threatened by what's happening around us. And so this would really be a great survival tool for groups of humans as well. Can you imagine a business where we don't feel anxious or threatened by what's happening around us? We're not worried about the competition because we are able to laugh at our present situation and use the energy gathered from laughter, those endorphins, to guide us through the process of how we get to the point of solution. Anthropologists think that laughter is universal, but that doesn't mean that every culture finds the same things funny. Now, laughter is really a primitive noise. Laughter is surprisingly complicated. It's a complicated process engaging multiple regions of the brain and the body. The frontal lobe, this is very important, make notes if you can. The frontal lobe is thought to help you interpret the various bits of information you receive, the sounds and images, and then it decides whether these things are funny or not. That triggers an emotional response in the limbic system, which controls feelings like pleasure and fear, and in turn stimulates your motor cortex, as explained by Dr. Gupta in his podcast. This controls your physical response. So those goughs and snorts and chuckles that we recognize as laughter actually happen this way. In fact, when you snort and cough, it produces laughter with those around you. When you start to laugh, a fairly large connection there is a fairly large contraction, in your rib cage that is very large and very fast. Those contractions push air that give us the ha 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 sound. It is a very primitive way of making noise, but at the brain level, it is associated with a change in the circulating of endorphins. Those endorphins that give us the feel-good feeling. This can give you a pain-killing sensation. As you laugh, it lowers the adrenaline levels in your brain and in your body, and the stress hormone cortisol is also lowered. You know, cortisol is something that we want to manage and maintain. You're more relaxed, less stressed, and you have a pleasant, buzzy feeling that gives you the feel-good feeling. It's interesting to note that couples who are in business who laugh together stay together and their businesses last longer. A long-running study of couples at the University of California, Berkeley, of many 150 long-term relationships that started back in 1989 has suggested that laughter is the glue that keep people together. Laughter is the glue that can keep businesses together. Satisfied couples laugh more than unsatisfied couples. And the study found that they are more likely to have a success in their relationships as well as in their business activities. Laughter during a stressful conversation was associated with emotions becoming more positive because of endorphins, because of laughter. Can't you see how if we employ laughter in our business activities and just laugh at the challenges that we may have, how we can move now into a successful realm? You see people starting to get stressed, and you find out that there are people who deal with increased feelings of stress. The ones who react with laughter usually get less stressed immediately, and they wind up being happier in their relationships at home and at work. And where relationships are concerned, these people have a higher rate of staying together. But it's not that the laughter is the magic dust. It's more like laughter is a sign of a relationship where people can use laughter to negotiate a better way together. In diffusing tense situations at work and at home, and as we engage with friends and colleagues throughout our lifespan, laughter can make it easier for people to communicate and maintain relationship bonds, an important plank in relationship satisfaction. So let's laugh about it. Let's laugh as much as we can about it. Now, it's difficult to explain why something is funny. While psychologists and psychiatrists and comedians have tried to come up with one, there is no universal theory of what makes something funny. People sometimes find amusement in the misfortunes of others and the expression of otherwise forbidden emotions, or of violating a norm, but in a non-threatening way. Sometimes sounds or words can just be inherently funny, and we laugh about it. Any theory of humor always falls down because we can't explain all the things that are funny, and it can't be used to generate jokes. Laughter is really important, an important part of play, and maybe that's where a lot of adult human play behavior goes. While more laughter doesn't always accompany genuinely felt emotions, it can also be for social display. People will use laughter to diffuse a stressful situation or a joke or just to break the ice. However, whether it works or not depends on whether the other person joins in with the laughter with you, as anyone who has had a punchline fall apart will really know. And then laughter is about people and not jokes. Laughter is 30 times more likely to occur in the company of others than when we are alone. In fact, if you find yourself laughing about something when you are alone, you should probably go and get yourself checked out. It is also contagious, laughter that is. You're much more likely to laugh if you hear someone else laughing. When you have endorphins circulating throughout your brain, you feel good. And when you laugh, you're inhaling more oxygen. So all the cells of your brain are getting more oxygen as well as the cells of your body. This also helps in giving you that feel-good feeling. You see why laughter is important to business? It's just a cool tool in your medicine cabinet to help you feel better. And I'd say it's free. And it brings in all of those other benefits that are so great, such a great tool to use and not be dismissed by silliness or worthlessness. It's hard to separate the benefits of laughter and the context in which you would laugh. As such, if you want to harness the healing power of laughter, a funny movie might help. But it's really the connections that laughter builds with other people that really, really counts. So let's learn to laugh about it. Now, laughter reduces stress and anxiety and depression. Laughter boosts confidence and creativity. By your mid-20s, if you go back in your life, you'll find that you've started laughing a whole lot less than you used to. Laughter helps people bond, though. It promotes inclusiveness and it fosters creativity. You don't have to be a comedian. Just being open to laughter in the workplace is enough. Let's commit to being open to laughter in the workplace. Now, if you feel like there's not much to laugh about right now, you're probably not alone, but there are sound scientific reasons to reach for the gags, even if you don't feel like it, because they really, really work. There's scientific evidence behind this, you see. That's according to 2 Stafford University academics who have examined the effects of laughter in the workplace and concluded that it makes us better bosses and better employees. Laughter. The study was truly a global one. 1.4 million people in 166 countries. One of the things it found was that around the age of 23, people everywhere start to laugh less. So basically, when we enter the workforce, we fall off the humor cliff. Let's bring that back. Let's figure out how we get more and more laughter. Now, here's the part about business that I want us to all consider this evening, and that I want us to look at how we strategically implement laughter into our businesses and make it a key element of how we drive our businesses to success. Laughter is like a mental lubricant for business. As in-person meetings have begun to resume, a comment that I have heard frequently from staff members and colleagues is that it feels like I haven't laughed for over a year. If you feel like that, send a wave over this in the room. This comes as no surprise, given the fact that over the past 2 years of the global pandemic, social unrest and racial tension, the financial insecurity that has plagued the planet, there does not seem to be much to laugh about. But the comments that I received are not mild observations about missing a good laugh with friends. It really says that human beings need laughter in order to survive. People are realizing that they were missing, not just from something that's fun, but from something important. Given how laughter affects business, leaders should take note. Business leaders, business owners, take note. The main purpose of laughter. Well, researchers have discovered that the main purpose of laughter is not to signal that something funny has happened, but to foster agreement. Laughter is meant to support something that has been done or said. If you make someone laugh, they will probably agree with you because you've made them feel good about something you've said. It is nearly impossible to disagree with someone with whom you have shared a laugh. You notice that? As such, the ability to incite laughter is an important skill in business in analyzing a profit and loss. Laughter also acts as a sort of mental lubricant. Immediately following a laughter episode, people can solve complex problems. Make note, people can solve complex problems more easily and create innovative solutions quickly. When those endorphins are put into our system, into our brain, we can get to a point of solution of complex problems. So how do you go about bringing laughter back when there's been so little of it there's been so little to laugh about recently? Well, first, there must be the permission to laugh. The first step is to recognize how laughter has been suppressed. There are many factors necessary for laughter to exist, one of which is permission to laugh. We cannot laugh unless we feel that we've been accepted by those around us. All it takes is for someone saying, I don't think that there's anything to laugh at, and we all shut down. The power of the group is so important that people are 16 times more likely to laugh at something when they are with others than when they are alone, as we indicated earlier. We deny other people permission, when we deny other people permission to laugh on what we consider to be inappropriate targets of humor or improper timing, we suppress what could be something wonderful. Since laughter cannot exist without a target of humor, we must avoid sensitive subjects. As for timing, there is the old saying, comedy is tragedy plus time. As it relates to laughter, we must manage tragic events by looking back at them humorously. There's probably a point in time when we'll be able to look back at the worldwide COVID-19 pandemic and laugh. How long it takes for an event to be acceptable and to look at it from a humorous perspective. Each of us and our personal attachment to it will play a significant role. The phrase, we'll laugh about this someday, applies to everyone differently. Now, laughter is no laughing matter because, of course, some events should never be the source of humor, no matter how far in the past they reside. What does all of this mean to a business leader today? Make notes and make notes very, very carefully. This is the crux of it all. First, a good leader not only sets the tone for a group, but he or she also clarifies the behavior expected from the members of this group. For instance, sexual harassment usually begins with an inappropriate joke, and leaders who tolerate such humor signal that they will tolerate more than just tasteless words. Be careful. A leader's role is to step forward and acknowledge whatever elephants are in the room. A leader sets the boundaries for the group, boundaries that the group must respect. Children do not play a game of tag without first deciding that running past the tree in the front of the yard is out of bounds. You're out if you go that way. Humor has the same requirements, and especially as it relates to the success of our businesses. We feel more comfortable to laugh when we are sure that we will not step out of bounds. The next task of a leader who wants success in his business and wants to employ laughter. Laughter. The leader must give permission to laugh. In acknowledging the stress that a group has endured, the leader can say, I know that we have an issue on our minds lately, but we will not let it get in the way of us enjoying life together. Permission to laugh. It is vital that leaders not shy away from the weighty matters that take up space in staff members' minds. Employees need to know that issues are respected and therefore not the target of humor, and that their needs to laugh together is equally as important. And so let us note that whether your business has remained in person throughout the pandemic, or if you are reintroducing yourself to faces you have seen only on Zoom for the past year or two, don't let the weight of the world's ills take away the real person that you are in the work groups where you exist. Let us remember to laugh at them. Thank you very much and good evening.
Dwayne, thank you so much for that amazing presentation. I really, I always have a quote at work now where I say, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. So
Absolutely.
always try to find a reason to laugh. My first question as we enter our question and answer segment, I also want to encourage our viewers there that they can always post their questions in either the Zoom chat or our Facebook live chat where we're streaming live on our social media platforms. So my question, as we kick off our question and answer segment, how do you navigate or tread on, let's say if I work in a serious job or a high stress job, how do you navigate being serious and not being taken for a joke while trying to, find the humor in your everyday or your workday?
Well, there are some organizations where it would seem that humor cannot be employed. And so I would say you need to make a very quick assessment of who are those persons who like a good joke, who can enjoy humor and build a relationship with them. Through the process of building relationships, you will come in contact with certain cues about a person's personality, certain hot buttons that they like to talk about. And from there, you can segue probably into something that they can find as being humorous. The key is, if you present yourself as someone who is able to enjoy humor, what you will find is that there are people who may seem as if they don't enjoy humor, but will want to be in your presence, because while they don't know what will happen, they know that something will.
Thank you for that answer. We have some questions coming in on our Zoom chat here. One of the questions asks, how do you incorporate laughter to engage with your customers? If the sole purpose is to generate sales, do you run the risk of sounding phony?
Well, when customers come into your business, especially, let's say it's a brand new customer, you need to engage with the customer and have a conversation. Have I seen you inside here before? Yes, no. What is your name? And get to know the person so that the next time they come back, you can say, well, hey, Preston, how are you doing? It's good to see you here again. And then the conversation can continue from where it began the last time. Now, once you develop a personal relationship with your customers and you are able to cue in on their hot buttons, their tastes and preferences as it relates to the product line that you may be carrying, you will be in a better position to carry a conversation as it relates to other products and services that you can suggest to them based on those products or services that they have gotten in the past. You can't come across as being phony. People know how to pick that up, but there is a way that you can communicate to your customers that you are really, really concerned about their well-being. You're really concerned about what it is they want out of life, and you're willing to make the time and take the time to help and guide them through that process.
Thank you for that. I have another good question here. Hold on, let me get to that 1 second. Question inside the Zoom chat says, can you really laugh if your employee makes a $10,000 mistake? And on the flip side, if your employee laughs at his or her $10,000 mistake, wouldn't that infuriate your boss or infuriate you as a boss?
Boy, a $10,000 mistake is that's a really expensive mistake. However, there are probably solutions that you can put into place that can help and solve that $10,000 mistake. It is highly unlikely that any conscientious employee who makes a $10,000 mistake with the right relationship and the right negotiation would be unwilling to repay at least a part of the money that they would have caused the business to lose. And so I would encourage such a business owner to approach that type of situation with caution and care, but to place the parameters of the conversation as such that there is a solution that can be brought about where those funds could be repaid over a period of time. You don't want to laugh about it to the extent that it becomes frivolous, but at the same time, you would want your employee to know that we're willing to work with you to a certain extent if you're willing to own this problem, and we work together to find a solution.
No, that's a really good one. And it actually leads me to my follow-up question. Does laughter volume play a part in any of that either? You know, like how some people would chuckle or they may giggle underneath their breath, or they may have a hearty laugh. Is laughter volume in a situation like that something we need to navigate as well too?
I would say the volume of laughter indicates the extent to which the participants find the joke funny. If people are having a really deep belly laugh and they are uncontrollable, they can't catch their breath, well, to that person, that joke is really, really funny. If somebody just gives a slight little snicker, it is probable that that particular joke they don't find funny. And they are probably only laughing because there's somebody else on the other side of the room who has the deep belly laugh, yeah? You want to be careful, because sometimes if you laugh at something that is inappropriate, it can kind of give a cue as to what is going on in your head. And sometimes you want to be careful about how you expose what's happening in your mind in any case. So yeah, I would agree that the volume of laughter is going to give a cue or key as to how funny the recipient of the humorous situation finds it really to be.
We have another question here in our Zoom chat. And also just a reminder that if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in our Zoom chat here or even our Facebook live stream. But the question goes, my grandmother always told me that whistling woman and cackling hen does not make a wife, does not make a wife. But do you find that this is an archaic view of laughter and interactions, especially as an entrepreneur? How then do we use laughter as a way to break the ice with customers who may be of the era that my grandmother or this particular grandmother is from?
Well, in order to enjoy a joke or to respond to something humorous doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be cackling or we have to be laughing uncontrollably or being indiscreet about how we laugh, right? At the same time, I think the person who posed the question referred to a cackling hen and that person not being able or having the inability to be a good spouse. Is that correct?
Well, they gave that quote saying that I guess that's
Oh,
more of a reference that grandmother used to
yeah,
use.
yeah. Understood. So on the flip side, maybe how does that person feel about having that kind of relationship with someone who does not have the ability to enjoy humor, especially based on the fact that there's research that indicates that people who have an inability to express or enjoy humor will probably have situations where their relationships don't last a very long time.
Nice, thank you. And this question now has me curious too, so I'll take it as I'll take it as a double. But when is laughter inappropriate or ill-advised?
You don't want to laugh at things that cause other people pain. Inappropriate and ill-advised. If someone has suffered pain or hurt from a particular set of circumstances, for no reason should that be seen as being funny, and especially if the person is in the room. I've been in the room at times when there are people in a particular room who stammer, or they may have a speech impediment, and there are others around the room who are creating humor about someone who has a speech impediment. Well, how can that be appropriate in the earshot of the person who actually lives with that reality in his or her life? How is that appropriate? Are we being the caring human beings that we should be? Are we conscious of the feelings and emotions of others? Where is our emotional responsibility as it relates to how we deal with those around us? Inappropriate, ill-advised.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that response. Another question in our Zoom chat here says, if your net profit margins are less than what your investors expect, do you recommend humor or laughter to deflect from your poor performance?
Your net profits are less than your investors expect.
Yes.
Laughter is no laughing matter. However, if it is clear that we need to find the humor in this as a means of causing us to get to the point of solution, laughter as the tool that takes us to solution, because our brains are going to work a whole lot more efficiently when we give them endorphins. Maybe it could be that investors would see the big picture and be able to understand how the mood and temperament in the room, the mood and temperament of the business within which they have invested can be enhanced for the better by and through the employment of laughter.
Thank you. Another question here in our Zoom chat says, do you recommend creating avenues that are intentional, especially with your staff or team, that allow for the opportunity for them to let their hair down and laugh? How do you think this impacts productivity or a productivity of the team as a collective?
Definitely, I think there should be deliberate implementations of opportunities for staff to let their hair down and to just relax a little. Most of us are probably heard of and participated in Casual Friday, because people feel a little different when they're able to wear a nice pair of comfortable jeans and they hello. a nice pair of comfortable jeans and a nice golf shirt, because it gives you that feeling of comfort. It gives you a different feeling from the feeling that you get when you have to wear a suit and tie as compared to the kind of clothing that you will wear when you are in a more social environment. And so even the clothes we wear has an impact on our mental state and our ability to problem solve, our ability to implement solutions to problems based purely on the existence of endorphins in our system. So it's not specifically and only laughter. It is what laughter causes us to become. It is what laughter produces that we are after. That is where the solution lies.
I'm not sure what happened to
Oh,
Preston.
sorry.
Preston, are you there?
Yes, right here. Thank you so much, Felice, for tagging me in. So I do have a few more questions, unless Felice, you had a question to ask.
No, I didn't. I saw
Oh.
Antoinette Seymour had a question.
Thank you, Antoinette Seymour. I'm missing the question from Antoinette Seymour, but as I wait to get that question, I'll start with this question here. There's a quote that says, "Laugh and the world laughs with you. Weep and you weep alone." Has this been your experience as an entrepreneur? If so, how?
I can't say specifically that I've wept alone. During those times when there were close friends or colleagues of mine or people within my circle who knew that there was a weeping matter. I think we will find that most of the time, we as individuals prefer to share with the world those things that we can laugh about because they give us the feel-good feeling. We typically, we're not very open about sharing those things that we would cry about because they don't give that feeling. And they kind of let people into some information about us that we would probably not want them to know, for the fear that it could come back a little later on and become an element of humor that could be inappropriate, that could hurt us a little deeper than, of course, those things that we would promote ourselves as being those things to laugh about. And so I think that when we cry and we cry alone, it is not necessarily the fact that we must cry alone. It is probably the fact that because we are crying, we prefer to cry alone.
Thank you for that answer. I got Anto Seymour's question here, and he asks, "The world watched Donald Trump laugh at a physically challenged person and also watched the entire campaign room laugh along with him. Who decides what is inappropriate or what is appropriate?"
Well, in the first instance, I don't think Donald Trump is the type of person that we could look at as a benchmark to determine what is appropriate or what is inappropriate. Quite frankly, I feel that through his lens and through his eyes, a whole lot of things that are classically defined as being inappropriate have been brought to the mainstream and exposed. So in terms of what is appropriate and what isn't, Donald Trump would not be the best benchmark as far as I'm concerned, but that's my opinion. Now, who decides what is appropriate and what isn't appropriate? Usually the human being has a pretty good sense of how what he or she is saying is going to impact those around him or her. If you don't have that particular skill, it probably means that your moral compass might be a little off. And maybe it is that you need to do some reading or some study on what is appropriate and what isn't. As was illustrated in this presentation earlier, one of the main things that is inappropriate and that will lead to subject matter that is even more inappropriate is when we laugh at or think it is funny to crack jokes about that can spin into sexual harassment. Any business owner who laughs at or think it's appropriate to speak ill or crack a joke about a staff member that dips into sexuality, that dips into subject matter of that sort, they are going down a very, very slippery slope, because if that becomes funny, it really gives the business, which is the staff members themselves, the indication that there are certain inappropriate things that are acceptable. And whenever we accept anything inappropriate, it increases the probability that those things that are inappropriate will continue to exist, and they will continue to excel or to increase, because we become comfortable. And so what was inappropriate the last time will probably increase the next time. And then we find ourselves spinning into a serious problem that we don't have the opportunity to control and to manage once it gets past a certain point.
Thank you for that response. And I see Ms. Cheryl Cambridge, I see your hand up. I'm going to give you the floor to unmute your mic, and you'll be my final question for this evening.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Okay, a question to Mr. Wallace. You're talking about being casual probably on Friday, but in my nature of business, my staff always give me a hard time on Friday, want to do jeans and t-shirt. The problem is, I have 3 greeters at the airport. If one of them calling sick or for some reason don't show up to work, I would call one of the girls out of my office to go to the airport. I don't need someone in a jeans and t-shirt greeting my guests at the airport. How do I deal with my staff? Because they bug me every week, and and it's kind of hard. They say I'm different from every. It's not that I'm different. I try to get them to understand, because at any given day, I need at least 3 persons working at the airport every day. And so if 1 or 2 don't show, I need to take at least 2 girls out of the office. And especially on a Friday. If that happened, I can't send anyone to the airport in jeans and t-shirt. How do I deal with my staff like that?
All right, let's talk through this challenge a bit. Do you have a uniform for your business?
Yes, there's a uniform in the office. They all come to work every day in a uniform.
They all come to work every day in uniform. Have you considered possibly creating a smart casual uniform?
Like I said, they call it Friday jeans and t-shirt day.
Well, if jeans is inappropriate, because I know there's some young people who like to wear these jeans that they call I forget the word right now, but they have a lot of rips and tears in them, and in their world and in their mind, there's nothing wrong with that. So while it is important for you to at least show them, your staff that is, that you want to accommodate their desire to have a smart casual or a casual day, the level of casual must work within the realm of what is appropriate for your business. You can't come to work in rip-up jeans. Maybe though, a pair of Dockers, which are classified as casual, but classy casual would be appropriate. So my recommendation to you would be to sit with your staff and get some recommendations from them, along with suggestions from you as to how they would feel comfortable in a smart, casual type of a uniform that you would see also as being appropriate for what their work requires them to do as a greeter at the port of entry.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Cambridge, for that question. And also, once again, thank you, Mr. Wallace, for your amazing presentation. I'm going to turn the mic over on to Mr. Leo Roll as he gives us our trivia and our closing remarks.
All right. Thank you again, Dwayne. It was an excellent presentation.
Thank you.
I think the entrepreneurs have quite a bit of food for thought and the opportunity to incorporate laughter in the workplace. So thank you again. Very good presentation. Now I have the easy job of the night, and it's simply to provide you with the trivia. And what you are going to do is you can type your responses either in the Facebook Live chat, or you can type it into the chat here on the Zoom meeting. And the question is, Dwayne Wallace obtained his bachelor's degree from which of these institutions? Is it A, the University of the Bahamas, B, the University of the West Indies, C, Success Training College, or D, Nova Southeastern University? I have no idea who new user is. So I see a winner. It's a person that has their name set to new user. So if you can just identify yourself for us, you have won 2 tickets to Joker's Wild Comedy Show on Saturday, the 24th of June. Yeah, Dwayne. The 24th of June, featuring Trenton Davis and Lisa Gilbert at the Atlantis Paradise Island. We always try to make sure that our gifts are in line with what the presenter is talking about. And so tonight, given that Dwayne was speaking, it's primarily about laughter and how laughter helps you to, get through mistakes today so that you can minimize them tomorrow. We thought it fit to give you Joker's Wild tickets. So the person that is new user, you are a winner for tonight. Please feel free to reach out to us privately and we will tell you how to redeem your tickets. I look forward to seeing you all on Monday, as we continue our series through our fitness and wellness initiative. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you again, Dwayne.